What's up, guys? Nick Greenawalt here. We're gonna do some animation pro tips. Thanks to Adobe for having me on, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you guys, teaching you some stuff. I do need to bring the chat up though, real quick. If you can just bear with me as I find this chat. Maybe the man in my ear can send me the chat so I can chat with you guys. Cool. So thanks everyone for joining, wherever you're tuning in from. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. A little bit about me. I've been a motion designer for many years. I've worked in interactive design agencies, doing animations and interactive apps and websites and all that kind of stuff. Have a YouTube channel, Motion by Nick, where I have uh, highly rated tutorials, free animation tools, resources, assets. I have some couple motion design courses out, very reasonably priced. And I just really like making cool stuff and showing how it is done. And as you can see on my screen, I am unprepared for this. Mr. Adobe asked me to join yesterday. So I whipped up what I could in the time provided, but we're really just going to wing it. Okay, I'm having trouble getting this chat still. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, cool. All right, let's get into it then. First thing we're going to take a look at is some tips around text animators. Chances are, if you're not using text animators, then you are animating text both objectively wrong, but you're also making it more difficult for yourself. This kind of animation you're seeing here takes a minute to set up. It's really flexible. It looks really good. It's really smooth. It has 4 keyframes total on one layer. And look at all the stuff we're able to do. We got some movement, some rotation, some color, some opacity. So let's jump in on how we would make something like this in 1 second. Okay. So I'm going to hide this layer here and open up this one. So this is my starting text, right? So what I'm going to do is I have this text. It's all nice. This is like the end state of where I want it to be. I'm going to click animate. And I'm going to start throwing down some properties that I want animated. How about some position? I know I want this text to move. How about some opacity? I know I want it to fade in. And then how about we add in like a color, so it kind of fades in from both transparent and another color. So I'm going to add in all of these properties here. Now, what we're looking at on this animator one line is we can consider this to be the final position. This is where we want things to arrive to. So I don't want this to be red. I want this to be my final text color. So I'm going to make this black. We want this at 100% opacity, and this is the positioning that I want it to animate into. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to duplicate this by clicking here and hitting Command D. That's the duplication button. Command D if you're on Mac, Control D if you're on Windows. I'm just going to do this one for the Mac crowd, but it is all the same. And now on this second animator, what I want to do is tell this where it should begin. So let's maybe pull the text down here. Let's make the color, how about a nice green, a nice eye bleeding neon green. And let's drop the opacity down. And you're like, wow, nothing happened. It's all gone. And that's by design. So we want to now tell this thing how to animate in. And your first instinct might be, hey, I'm going to move the position. I'm going to animate the opacity. I'm going to animate the color. Wrong. Don't do it. We're going to drop down the range selector here. And you can see if I start messing with these sliders, this is going to run through all of our animation. And I don't even need to change the start. I don't need just to change the end. What I want to change is the offset, right? So you see it can go in either direction. It can go -100 to 100. So if we want nothing right in the middle, we're going to start this at 0. I'll put a keyframe. I'll go half a second. I'll put it to 100. Boom, boom. And then what we can do is reverse the other way. Like this. Whoops. Here we go. Additionally, okay, like this. Guys, we're doing this live. It is what it is. Okay, so now we have this as our animation. It's doing the things that we want it to do. However, it's not very eased. So you might think, hey, let me add some easing in, right? I'll ease it in, I'll ease it out. I'm going to use my little animation tool here that I'm currently designing to help me with the easing. And boom. Easing is not really right here, though. And to be honest, I don't know if we should be easing it on here when we have handy easing tools built in. So I'm going to undo that. I'm going to drop down advanced, and I want this stuff to animate in by words, I think might be nice. And right here is where the easing magic is going to happen. These shapes, it's pretty confusing, but you can think of it as when I'm sliding the offset, this is the shape that is going to be running through my text and telling it how to animate. So right now we have a square. Things are pretty even. If we did maybe something like a triangle, and let me just bring this down to characters to be, you can see how this kind of triangle shape is running through here. If we did something like round, it'll be a little bit more rounder. What I prefer is the ramp down. And this is going to add a really nice easing to hit it. But now you can see that it's kind of messed up our offset a little bit. So let's redo this, because when you're adding these easing effects, for square, I had this eased and animated properly. But since we changed the ramp down, we're going to want to fix that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn up this a little bit on the high. These numbers you can just mess with, and you see this is giving it this nicer slope here, right? Versus kind of being more straight. So we're going to add a little more exaggeration here. And then I'm going to pull down this offset to actually be where everything is invisible. So something like this, right? And now, am I doing this wrong? Offset from 0 to, I have my checking my notes. Okay. Boom. Boom. All right. Now, let me delete these. We can see we kind of have this nice snap in, which I totally did backwards. Let's see here, guys. This is the problem with doing it live with no preparation, is we have to reference our notes here. And I'm going to pull up the YouTube chat too, because that's finally, that man in my ear has finally sent it over. All right. Thank you, Wesley. Behance.net/live. We're doing it live. All right. Wesley says we love Nick. I agree with that. We do love Nick. Nice to see you. And I'm pulling up the Behance chat. And okay. How am I doing, man in my ear? We on anything on fire yet? All right, cool. All right. Boom. Bring my notes back up. Okay, cool. Now we got a nice, we actually reversed this. We're doing an animate out right now. And you can see how it is doing the opposite of what I was intending it to do live. Perhaps my animators are in the wrong order. Let's try that. Anyway, doesn't matter, guys. This is what it's supposed to look like. Okay, if you want to watch, I have a full tutorial on how to do this. Let's break this down into here and see what we did wrong. So we have our first state here. Our first, I reversed it. The first state, the first animator is what you want it to start out as, right? So we have the color, the opacity, the rotation, the position coming down. And then in our animator 2, we're going to tell it to come back to life here. And boom. And so what you can keep doing then is once you have all these states down, right? So we have our offset animating from -100 to 100. We have a simple fade in like this with the color and the we can start adding in new effects. So on this first animator here, let me go ahead and add in a rotation. And I'll tell this, hey, we want this to start out rotated like, 35 degrees like this, right? We have it, boom. But since we only have the rotation on the one, we're going to want to place it again on the other. And we're going to tell it to come back to here. All right, this is our final state now. We're just going to adjust that. And now it's going to basically do that animation for us in both directions, in and out. All right, let's move on, I think, shall we? Okay. You might be doing cameras. You might be doing too much work when you're making your cameras because not everything needs to be in 3D, all right? Not everything has to be this complex 3D scene. If you're working with 2D layers and you want camera moves, but you don't care about having that parallax depth, then a really simple way to do this is by adding an adjustment layer and making a fake camera. I do this all the time on an animation I just put out. I use this very heavily and it's really flexible and that's why I like it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new adjustment layer. You can right click in here or you can go to layer, new adjustment layer, exactly what it sounds like. You can adjust things below this layer. So I'm going to add on a effect called transform. I'm using FX Console. It's a free plugin to help you search for things faster. And when you have this open up, we can scale everything below. We can move the position, etc. So let's say I want to have a camera move that's following this cursor. Well, then all I need to do is grab this transforms position or anchor point, pretty much the same thing. And let's pick whip this down. Sorry, I need that property to be open. Click P on here. Let's pick whip this anchor point to the position that we want it to follow. All right, boom, boom. So now we kind of roughed in this automatic camera, and wherever we move this layer, the camera will follow because we've attached it to the cursor. So what I want to do is I want to add a little bit of a flexibility to this because right now, if it's pick whipped, it is bound to this layer. You can't make any adjustments. So I'm going to just add this to this expression. And if you can't find the expression, you just double click E. We're just going to say value plus. If you add value plus to pretty much any expression, it then gives you the ability to add in your own keyframes and your own values on top of it. So I'm just going to put this back into a nice position here. And now we have this kind of camera move going on. However, I still feel like this camera move is too exaggerated. I want it to follow it. I want it to be influenced by it, but I want it to be less one-to-one and a little more muted. So I'm actually going to add some math to the end of this. Let's say divided by 5. And now you'll see this camera move is smaller. And I'm just going to move it back. You know, math does some weird things when you're adding it on that you might not anticipate. And so I'm just going to move this back into position. And now we have this like more subtle camera move, right? It's following the cursor without giving us, you know, some crazy whiplash here. And then additionally, let's say you really want to get tricky here. We could link this across compositions. So what I mean by that is, let's say the null object that you want to follow is actually in a different composition. And I'll show you what this looks like. Let's say I'll grab all this stuff. I pre-comp it, right? And now this comp, oh, where's my pre-comp window? Okay, I pre-comp this. So now, right, all this stuff is contained in its own thing. There's no camera move happening in here. I pulled the null out too. What we could do with our null object is we could actually say, all right, we want this. I keep losing scenes. We want this adjustment layer, the position of it, the transform, right? This link got broken because now they're living in different comps. So I'm going to right click here. I'm going to click new viewer. And we can take a look at 2 comps at once and really see what we're doing. We can also pick whip across the screens. Let me show you here. New viewer. How do I do this? Anyway, we could pick whip this and go boom and send it across the layer, which I'm also having trouble with my screen right now. You do this. Anyway, forget the pick whip tip here. We can link, we can work in 2 different screens at once, and you're able to kind of make adjustments here. So if I want to, you know, work on something in this screen, I can lock it here. and bounce to another and kind of see how this may affect something happening elsewhere when these comps are linked. All right. Where's my Behance chat at? Anyone here? Anyone making fun of me? All right. This is... I know I'm trying to find... Man in my ear. I'm trying to find the chat. Right. All right. Everyone waving. General Kenobi. Umacorn. Anyone here? Anyone making fun of me? Oh, I gotta mute myself. Okay. Should be good now. All right. Let's keep it moving, shall we? I think we have just a little bit of time left. Where's my chat at? Anyone on YouTube? Hi, Ryan. Long time no see. I come to YouTube, but only for Adobe Live. Cool. Looks like you got some fans in the chat, Ryan. Whoever Ryan is has some fans in the chat. All right. We went through the text animators, we went through the cameras, we went through the scenes. My final tip here is going to be that you can leverage all of these fancy AI tools coming out to do really powerful things for you. AI is a big, debated, heated topic. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't. Maybe you're like me and somewhere in the middle. But if it's here, I want to be able to use it to create things that otherwise I couldn't make. And so here's an example of something I made using AI. And what I mean is that I don't know how to manually make colors change, flip between colors like this. So I'll pull up ChatGPT and I'll ask it to write me an expression to do the thing that I want it to do. I take that expression, I paste it in. I've made multiple scripts, which you can get. I think they're all for free on my website, on my YouTube channel, to do various things. I needed a way to set up grids that were really flexible, that I could, align things in certain ways that would be necessary for me, that would otherwise take a lot of work. I've made circular scripts like this, where you can adjust the layout very, very streamlined. We've made various types of scripts where things might try to avoid the cursor, or you want to set up a sine wave for your stuff. And more recently, I created, with the help of my AI intern, a tool that can actually push all of your layers into 3D space in just a couple of clicks and make a really nice 3D layout for you. And I can kind of show you what that looks like here. If I grab all my layers, and I just click the buttons in order, rig, and apply. And what you're seeing here is a really cool 3D camera viewer, where if you normally have one view and it might be difficult to tell where my layers are in relation to each other in 3D space, but you can actually pull up multiple viewers and take a look at things this way. So maybe I want this to be a little bit further back, in this kind of standard camera view might be hard to gauge the distance, but using this 3D viewer with multiple views, you can make things a lot easier. And it just basically looks really cool. So things like this Easy 3D, this intern one that I'm working on, these are all tools that I have created without any coding knowledge, without knowing how to code at all, to be able to make the things that I really, really wanted to do. So if I really wanted just kind of a simple animation helper, you just prompt it and it's all in here. It's pretty cool stuff. Cool. Hey guys. Hey chat. Very trippy. Yes. Okay. I'm just reading my prompts to be a good host, what to talk about with everybody. Do you want anyone to make fun of you? Yes. General Kenobi, please make fun of me. Go ahead. All right, guys, that is my list of pro tips. It was kind of a dumpster fire on my end to do this live. But that's what happens. You got to do things live. You got to roll with the punches. You got to adapt. I'm not sure if anyone is having any questions around these pro tips, or if you could even follow them in the first place, because I don't know if I could. So on that note, I'm going to start rounding this thing out here, guys. Yeah, so if you want to learn more of this stuff in depth, right? If you want to learn how to do some cool text animators, but you want to do it properly, go ahead and check out some of my tutorials. This is something that you can learn how to do using the same exact method. This is something that I used to know how to do and have clearly forgotten, but you can make stuff like this. I'm really interested in exploring unique approaches and streamlining processes and just really making things easier, because I'm quite lazy. So I appreciate making things as simple as they possibly can be. So if you check me out on Instagram and YouTube, you can kind of see what I'm talking about in terms of strange animations and breaking those processes down. And that's something that I would definitely encourage other people to try to get into, is providing a lot of value to other people in the field, because whatever you provide will come back to you tenfold. So when I'm not doing animations and bombing on live stream, I am actually developing a video game based on my own artwork called Wanderers. You can check it out on Epic Games right now. Hello everyone. Hey Sita, creative designer, and Robert Wennerberg. Am I frozen? Is my sound working still? Okay. Murphy's Law. Whatever can go wrong will go wrong. Okay. Okay, guys, the man in my ear is telling me to wrap it up. I'm fired effective immediately. So I encourage you guys to connect with me online. DM me on Instagram, Twitter, email me. I'm pretty responsive. I like helping people out. I like checking out cool work and staying inspired. And I'm also really interested in making resources, both free and paid, man's got to eat, to help out aspiring designers and animators. So definitely check out any of my free resources. DM me if you've made something cool. If you need feedback on something, you want to chat more. And I'll leave it here for now. And then I'm gonna go cry on a cold shower about this. Okay. Okay. Goodbye.